The gas station stood alone beside a long highway where trucks passed slowly and lights buzzed through the quiet night. It was a place where people stopped only for fuel and snacks and then disappeared back into the road. Officer Ryan parked his patrol car near the far pump and turned off the engine. He had been driving for hours and wanted to stretch his legs before continuing his route. Beside him sat Max, the police dog, calm and alert with bright eyes watching everything around them. Ryan opened the door, and Max stepped down carefully, touching the ground with purpose. The air was cold and smelled of fuel and dust and distant rain. Max walked in a slow circle, sniffing the ground and lifting his head often. Ryan followed quietly, letting the dog lead the short walk. Nothing felt unusual at first, and the night seemed peaceful. Inside the gas station store, a little girl stood near the counter. Her name was Lily, and she looked no older than 7. She wore a thin jacket and shoes that looked too big for her feet. Her hands were tucked into her sleeves, and her eyes kept moving toward the door. She did not speak, and she did not touch anything on the shelves. The cashier noticed Lily but did not question her presence. Children often waited while adults paid or used the restroom. Still, something about the girl felt different and quiet. She looked tired and nervous, as if she had been standing there for a long time. The cashier decided to keep an eye on her without making a scene. Outside, Max suddenly stopped walking. His ears lifted, and his body became still. Ryan felt the leash tighten slightly in his hand. Max raised his nose and took in the air slowly. This was not a normal reaction, and Ryan sensed it immediately. Max turned toward the store and let out a low sound that was not loud but serious. Ryan looked toward the glass door and followed the dog without hesitation. The bell rang as they entered the store, and the light inside felt warmer. Lily flinched when she heard the sound and took a small step back. Her eyes locked onto Max and then shifted to Ryan's uniform. Max walked straight toward Lily and sat down in front of her. He did not bark, and he did not move again. Ryan knelt beside him and spoke softly to keep everyone calm. Lily held her breath and clutched her sleeve tighter. She looked like she wanted to speak, but could not find the words. Ryan asked Lily if she was okay and if someone was with her. She shook her head slowly and looked down at the floor. Max leaned forward and gently touched her hand with his nose. Lily did not pull away and instead relaxed just a little. Ryan noticed faint red marks around her wrist that she tried to hide. The cashier stepped closer and asked Ryan if everything was all right. Ryan nodded but kept his attention on Lily. He asked the cashier if the girl had come in with someone. The cashier said a man told the girl to wait while he stepped outside. No one had returned for a long time. Ryan felt his chest tighten as he listened. He gently wrapped his jacket around Lily's shoulders to keep her warm. She whispered that she was tired and wanted to go home. She said the man promised to help her get there. Her voice trembled and Max stayed close beside her. Outside the station, a car engine started suddenly and revved loudly. Max reacted at once and turned his head toward the sound. He stood up and pulled toward the door with controlled force. Ryan stood quickly and guided Lily behind the counter for safety. The cashier locked the door as instructed and stayed calm. Ryan stepped outside with Max and scanned the parking lot. A dark car moved quickly toward the road without stopping at the pumps. Max strained against the leash, pointing straight at the vehicle. Ryan spoke into his radio with urgency and shared the details. Other units responded immediately and followed the direction given. Back inside, Lily sat quietly holding a cup of warm drink. Her hands shook less now that Max was near her again. She watched the door and listened to the sounds outside. The cashier spoke gently and told her she was safe here. Lily nodded slowly and rested her head against the counter. Minutes felt long as they waited. Ryan returned inside after making sure the area was secure. He knelt again and told Lily she did the right thing by waiting. Max sat proudly beside her, as if guarding her place. Lily finally smiled a little and reached out to touch Max's fur. Sirens could be heard far away, growing closer by the second. Ryan knew the night was far from over. What started as a simple stop had turned into something serious. Max had noticed what others missed without a single word spoken. And Lily was still there because of him. The sirens grew louder as police cars arrived near the gas station, and lights washed the dark road with color. Officer Ryan stood near the door while Max remained close to Lily inside the store. The cold air moved through the parking area as officers spoke quickly and shared details. Ryan explained what Max had sensed and what Lily had quietly revealed. Every officer understood that time mattered now. Inside the store, Lily sat very still and watched Max with careful eyes. She trusted him even though she did not fully understand why. Max stayed close and did not look away from the door. He listened to every sound and every movement around him. Lily felt safer knowing he was there beside her. One officer entered the store and knelt to Lily's level. He spoke softly and asked simple questions. Lily answered slowly and chose her words carefully. She said the man told her he would buy snacks and then take her home. She said she did not know the road or the place where they were. Ryan listened closely and felt a heavy weight in his chest. He knew this situation was serious and could have ended badly. Max shifted his position and placed himself between Lily and the door again. The officer nodded in understanding and stepped back. Everyone respected Max's instincts and trusted his judgment. Outside, the gas station officers followed the direction of the dark car. They moved carefully and stayed connected by radio. The road was quiet, but the search continued without pause. Every mile felt important, and every second mattered. The night air carried tension and focus. Back inside the store, the cashier brought Lily a small snack. Lily thanked her with a soft voice and took small bites. She kept her eyes on Max while she ate. Max remained calm and steady and did not move far. The bond between them grew stronger without words. Ryan returned inside and knelt near Lily again. He told her she was doing very well and that help was all around. Lily nodded and asked if Max would stay with her. Ryan smiled and said Max would not leave her side. Max wagged his tail once as if agreeing. Minutes passed slowly as updates came through the radio. Officers reported spotting the car several miles away. The vehicle slowed when it noticed police lights behind it. Ryan held his breath while listening. Max lifted his head and focused as if he could hear everything. The car was stopped safely on a quiet road. Officers approached carefully and followed procedure. They confirmed details that made the situation clear. Ryan closed his eyes for a moment in relief. Lily was safe because she had stayed and because Max had acted. When the officers returned to the station area, the mood shifted. There was relief mixed with sadness and concern. Ryan knew Lily would need care and comfort. He also knew she had been brave beyond her years. Max sat proudly, as if he understood the meaning of the moment. Lily was taken to a warm room nearby where she could rest. A soft blanket was placed around her shoulders. She held the edge of the fabric tightly and leaned back. Max lay down beside her without being asked. His presence gave her peace. A counselor arrived and spoke gently with Lily. The questions were slow and kind. Lily answered what she could without fear. She felt supported and no longer alone. Max stayed close and rested his head near her feet. Ryan watched from the doorway and reflected on the night. A routine patrol had turned into a moment that mattered deeply. He felt proud of Max and grateful for his training. More than that, he felt thankful for the quiet instincts that saved a life. Not every hero spoke or shouted. Lily eventually fell asleep with the blanket wrapped around her. Her breathing slowed and her hands relaxed. Max remained alert even as she slept. He watched the door and listened to distant sounds. Ryan knew Max would stay that way all night if needed. As the night moved toward morning, the gas station returned to quiet. Cars passed again without knowing what had happened there. The lights buzzed softly just as before. But the people inside were changed by the experience. They understood how close danger could come without notice. Ryan sat beside Max and rested his hand on the dog's back. He whispered praise and gratitude. Max responded with calm eyes and steady breathing. They had done their job together. And because of that, Lily would wake to a safer world. Morning light slowly filled the building as the night finally came to an end. The room where Lily rested felt warmer and calmer than before. She woke up slowly and looked around with sleepy eyes. For a moment she seemed confused about where she was. Then she saw Max lying beside her and felt comfort return. Lily sat up and pulled the blanket closer around her shoulders. Max lifted his head and looked at her quietly. She smiled at him and reached out to touch his fur. Max stayed still and allowed her to feel safe. That simple moment made her breathe easier. Officer Ryan entered the room carrying a small cup of juice. He spoke softly and asked if Lily felt better. She nodded and thanked him politely. Ryan placed the cup on the table and sat down nearby. He wanted Lily to feel calm and respected. A counselor joined them again and continued gentle conversation. Lily talked more freely now, and her voice sounded steadier. She shared simple details about where she lived and who she missed. Every word helped the adults understand her world better. They listened carefully and wrote nothing in front of her. Max stayed alert even in the quiet room. He watched each movement and listened to every sound. Whenever Lily shifted, he adjusted his position slightly. He seemed to know when she needed reassurance. His calm presence never faded. Later that morning, Lily's family was located. They arrived with worried faces and trembling hands. The moment Lily saw them, she stood up quickly. She ran forward and wrapped her arms around them. Tears flowed freely and relief filled the room. Her family thanked every officer again and again. They thanked the counselor and the cashier as well. When they turned toward Max, their voices shook. They knelt beside him and placed gentle hands on his head. Gratitude filled the air without needing many words. Lily hugged Max carefully before leaving the room. She whispered a quiet thank you near his ear. Max wagged his tail once and remained calm. Ryan watched closely and felt emotion rise inside him. Moments like this reminded him why he chose this work. News of the night spread through the town quickly. People talked about the police dog who noticed danger. They spoke about how a small choice changed everything. Many realized how awareness could save lives. The story moved people deeply. Ryan and Max returned to duty later that day. The patrol car rolled through familiar streets. Everything looked the same as before. Yet Ryan felt different inside. He trusted Max more than ever now. At the station, officers spoke about the case quietly. They praised teamwork and calm action. They understood how close the outcome could have been. Max received gentle pats and respectful looks. Everyone knew his role mattered greatly. That afternoon, Lily returned briefly with her family. She carried a folded piece of paper in her hands. She walked carefully toward Ryan and Max. Her steps were small but confident. Her eyes shone with purpose. She opened the paper and revealed a drawing. It showed a dog standing tall under bright lights. Beside the dog was a smiling little girl. The picture was simple but full of meaning. Ryan accepted it with gratitude. Max looked at the drawing and then at Lily. He tilted his head slightly as if curious. Lily laughed softly and felt proud. Her fear had been replaced by strength. This moment marked a new beginning for her. As Lily left the station, she waved back once more. Ryan raised his hand in return. Max watched her until she disappeared from view. He then settled beside Ryan calmly. Both knew their connection would never fade. That evening Ryan reflected on everything again. A routine patrol had turned into a life-changing event. Training and instinct worked together perfectly. Trust had saved someone vulnerable. The impact would last far beyond one night. The gas station returned to normal routine again. Cars stopped briefly and then moved on. Lights buzzed and doors opened and closed. Most people never knew what almost happened there. But those who did would never forget. Max lay quietly at Ryan's side as the sun set. The day ended peacefully without urgency. Ryan rested his hand on Max's back again. No words were needed between them. They both understood the value of being ready. The weeks after the gas station night passed slowly and gently for everyone involved. Life returned to normal routines, but the memory of that night stayed alive. Officer Ryan continued his patrols with the same dedication as before. Max stayed by his side every day with steady focus and quiet strength. Their bond felt deeper and more meaningful than ever. The gas station owner added brighter lights and new cameras. The cashier became more attentive to people who seemed uncertain or alone. Small changes were made with big purpose behind them. The place no longer felt like just a stop along the road. It felt like a place where awareness mattered. Lily went back to school and slowly found her confidence again. Her days became filled with learning and play. She talked more and laughed more with each passing week. Her family noticed the change and felt grateful. They made sure she always felt heard and protected. Sometimes Lily would draw pictures at home. Many of them showed a strong dog standing near her. She colored him carefully and always added bright lights above. Those drawings reminded her of safety and courage. They also reminded her of trust. Officer Ryan received a letter one morning at the station. The envelope was small and neatly written. Inside was a note from Lily and her family. They thanked him for listening and acting calmly. They thanked Max for seeing what others could not. Ryan read the letter quietly and folded it carefully. He placed it in his locker beside the drawing. He felt pride but also humility. He knew the true hero was sitting beside him. Max rested calmly, as if unaware of his impact. The department held a small recognition ceremony. It was not loud or filled with attention. Officers gathered and shared respectful words. Max received a special collar as a symbol of honor. Ryan smiled and kept the moment simple. Max accepted the collar without excitement. He sat calmly and wagged his tail once. He did not seek praise or attention. He only stayed close to Ryan as always. That loyalty spoke louder than words. News of the story reached nearby towns. People spoke about the importance of paying attention. Parents held their children a little closer. Strangers looked out for one another more often. A ripple of care moved through the community. Ryan noticed small changes during his patrols. People waved more and asked questions. They thanked him for his service and for Max. Ryan always reminded them of teamwork and awareness. He believed safety belonged to everyone. One afternoon Ryan and Max returned to the gas station. They stopped for a short break during patrol. The cashier smiled warmly when she saw them. She thanked Max again with gentle words. Max remained calm and observant as always. Lily and her family happened to be there that day. She spotted Max first and smiled widely. She walked closer with permission from her family. She knelt down and hugged Max gently. Max stayed still and allowed the moment. Ryan watched with quiet emotion. He saw strength in Lily's eyes now. Fear no longer guided her movements. Confidence had replaced it slowly. That change mattered deeply. Lily handed Ryan another drawing. This one showed the gas station with bright lights. Max stood in the center, watching over everyone. Small figures stood safely nearby. The message was clear without words. Ryan thanked Lily and told her she was very brave. She smiled and nodded proudly. Her family thanked Ryan once more. Gratitude filled the space naturally. They parted with warm goodbyes. As the sun lowered, Ryan and Max continued their patrol. The road stretched ahead quietly. The world felt calm and steady. Ryan reflected on how one moment changed many lives. He understood the value of presence and trust. Max stayed alert as always, watching the road. He did not know fame or recognition. He only knew duty and loyalty. That was enough for him. Ryan felt honored to work beside him. That night Ryan parked the patrol car and turned off the engine. He sat quietly for a moment before heading inside. Max rested beside him patiently. They shared a calm silence. Some moments did not need words. Ryan thought about the future and the unknown. He knew challenges would come again. But he also knew he was not alone. Trust and instinct would guide them. They were ready. The unbelievable part was not just the rescue. It was how one quiet action created lasting change. Awareness became strength. Kindness became protection. Courage appeared when it mattered most. And so the story did not end at the gas station. It continued through choices made every day. It lived in the bond between a man and his dog. It lived in a little girl who found her voice again. It lived in a community that learned to care.